My screen.
Yes, we can see.
Excellent. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover tonight, the essentials of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. This is going to be a series of 5 to 6 sessions where we're covering all of the foundational information about Marketing Cloud. So my approach is to think of it like you're building a house. You already have an image in mind of what kind of house you want this to be, but we have to make sure the foundation of that house is rock solid because we don't want to do it twice. We want to get that foundation right the first time, and everything we build on top of that will be solid as well. All right. So I mentioned the course outline should have been shared with you guys. If it hasn't been, it'll be shared with you at some point this week. It highlights everything we're going to cover. I won't dwell on it today, but it breaks it down into the different modules in Marketing Cloud and what the objectives are and what we'll cover. And then there's also the individual project with the expectations for that too. So you should have access to that at some point. So let's get right into it. Okay, here's what we're going to cover for the duration of the course. What I'm hoping you learn at the end of this 3 to 4 week exercise. All right, you learn more about Einstein as it relates to Marketing Cloud, about journeys, automations, cloud pages, dynamic content inside of Marketing Cloud, the data architecture, how to get data into and out of Marketing Cloud, how to integrate Marketing Cloud with other platforms. In our case, we'll be integrating Marketing Cloud with the CRM, which you've been exposed to, and then how to measure performance inside of Marketing Cloud, so reporting and such. And then we'll talk about some specific features and benefits of Marketing Cloud. So just to reacquaint you with Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud is a automation platform, a marketing automation platform that allows organizations to communicate with audiences using different mediums. So email, text message, social, among other things. And we're going to dive into the different ways you can do that and how to set up a Marketing Cloud account, how to get all of the basics going, and how to build on top of that. But the agenda for today, since we're talking about the essentials, will be just giving you an overview of the Marketing Cloud account, the resources, and some of the essential features. Okay. And of course, it won't just be talk. There'll also be a showing you component of Marketing Cloud. So this is, if you still see my screen, this is the Black Force Marketing Cloud account. Thankfully, we have access to it, and so will you. Each of you will be given access, will be given a user profile. You'll be able to access Marketing Cloud, this Marketing Cloud account. You'll be able to go in there, play around, build things, break things, learn along the way, and complete your project in here. Okay, so let's get it going. Any questions so far? So I'll be checking the chat occasionally just to see if questions come up as we go. Feel free to raise your hand or put a comment in the chat as I go through this. Okay, so typically when a company purchases Marketing Cloud, they also purchase a level of Salesforce support, and they have access to a certain level of Salesforce support. It could be the basic or the premier. If you pay more, you get the premier. If you pay the minimum, you get the basic support, and they triage your cases if you create a case with them. Let's say you have an issue. If you're a regular customer, it might take a while for them to get to your issue. If you're a premier support customer, then you get a quicker response. But this here just covers the kind of access you get, what kind of support access you get. And then when it comes to resources for Salesforce or Marketing Cloud, these URLs, they apply to both products. You can find lots of information on either of them or any of these URLs. In addition to this, as we go through each of these classes, where needed, I'll share with you resources that I have found useful over the years and I still refer to. And I'm also going to share with you a list of trailheads or trails specifically for Marketing Cloud. Newer folks will find that very, very useful because I've broken it down into different sections, both for if you want to focus on the administrative side, if you want to focus on the developer side of things, or if you just want to learn everything Marketing Cloud. There are links to all of these trailhead modules, and I'll share that with you. So this just covers more on what you find on Trailhead. So we won't dwell on that. Yeah, more on resources, both as a user or as an administrator for a Marketing Cloud account. So just one quick thing. Given that most of you have gone through your administrator courses or sessions, I'd like to highlight that there is a huge difference between the CRM, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud. They're very different products, okay? And you will come to learn that over the next few weeks. The CRM, among other things, is usually the single source of truth. It's used to bring together all of the information about customers, their profile information, their services or their cases, their products, their sales, all of that. You bring it all together into the CRM. And you can use the CRM for a bunch of things. While Marketing Cloud is primarily for marketing purposes. It could be used for other things, but the primary function for Marketing Cloud, it's typically used by the marketing organization within an enterprise, all right? But you'll come to learn more about it as we go. So let's go high level. This image here, you've probably come across before, and I tend to use it all the time. It gives you a very, let's call it a 10,000-foot view of the Salesforce product landscape. So let's go from the middle. At the center of this image on your screen is the Salesforce core platform. So that's what Salesforce, the company, built. So on that core platform sits the CRM, so Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and all the other flavors of the cloud experience and all of that. They sit on the core platform. All of your Lightning apps, your flows, your Commerce Cloud, all of that sits on the core platform. All right, Salesforce, the company, built the core platform. Everything on the outside, so everything on the left, everything on the right, everything beneath, Salesforce acquired. Each of these used to be standalone products by other companies, but Salesforce acquired them over time. So they've been on a acquisition spree over the last 10 years. They acquired Pardot, they acquired Tableau, Commerce Cloud, MuleSoft, Heroku. They acquired Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud used to be referred to as, or originally it was called ExactTarget. And that was also the name of the company that created ExactTarget. When Salesforce acquired it, they changed the name to Marketing Cloud. And most recently, they acquired Slack. So all of these products used to be standalone, and now, after they've acquired them, they've built connectors, they built bridges between the core platform that Salesforce built and each of these products that they've acquired and are now integrating into their ecosystem. And the reason why they've acquired these products, it's simple. It's the reason why any company does any acquisition. When they get to a point that they're not growing as much as they used to, they have to make a decision about, should we build or should we purchase? Should we buy or should we build? So because Salesforce, the company, knows their core competency is in the core system. They can't build all these other products themselves. So rather than trying to build them, they just go out and buy them and integrate these other products into their core platform in order to help their customers be more successful. So that's Salesforce's strategy: acquire to grow and help their customers be more successful. Our focus in this course is going to be on this product here in the top right corner called Marketing Cloud. All right. But I think it's useful for you to have that overview of the history of Marketing Cloud and the Salesforce product landscape. So still staying at a high level, but zooming in on Marketing Cloud, the product, the marketing automation platform. This image here gives you think of it as the skeleton of Marketing Cloud. So this just shows you how it works at a high level. So you've got the platform, and then you've got here at the top the different sources of data that you can bring into Marketing Cloud. So the data can be coming from the internet, say a website or a landing page. The data can be coming from your database, or it can be coming from your CRM or some third-party system. You can bring data from anywhere into Marketing Cloud. That's the point here. So you've got all these data sources. The data gets pushed into Marketing Cloud, and then you can create segments of people that you want to communicate with. So just to crystallize this for you guys, let's use an example. Let's say RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. They have Marketing Cloud. They get data from different sources. They have different lines of businesses and they have lots of data. So they can bring data from the different sources into Marketing Cloud, and then they can create segments of people they want to communicate with. So for their insurance business, they can create an insurance segment and send them insurance-related messages. For their retail banking, they can create segments for their credit cards, for their commercial real estate, for commercial banking, for their capital markets.
Is that like from my end, or is it from Abby's end?
What noise?
Hello, can we all hear Abby? Abby's vibrating.
No, we can hear you very well. Babs.
So, folks, can you hear me though?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. If at any point it's not loud enough, please let me know. But So sticking with the RBC example, they bring data in, they can create segments, they can send messages to different segments, they can build their content, so their emails, their text messages, they can build all of that inside of Marketing Cloud. They can push those messages out. And then when people get those messages, they can choose to update their preferences. They can choose to unsubscribe from these messages, or they can just interact with those messages. They can open the messages, they can click on links. And if they do, all of that engagement information gets captured inside of Marketing Cloud. So that's where you see your opens, clicks, unsubscribes, bounces, all of those engagement data. All of it is available inside of Marketing Cloud. All right, so that's what this high-level overview, that's the message for that slide. So we're going to go into each of those components one by one. So I mentioned you can bring data in from Marketing Cloud from different data sources. So you can bring in things as simple as Excel files in a .csv format. You can connect your Marketing Cloud account to a CRM. So it could be the Salesforce CRM. It could be another CRM, say the Microsoft Dynamics CRM, or any other CRM out there. You can connect your Marketing Cloud account to Sales Cloud, to an e-commerce platform, whatever it is. An integration can be built from Marketing Cloud to this third-party system. It could be to AWS, it could be to Azure, it could be to Google Cloud. It could be to a in-house built data warehouse or data lake. Whatever it is, we can connect it to Marketing Cloud and bring data in. And the data can be brought in either using an FTP, using an API, or you can also do manual imports. All right, we'll try and explore some of these as we go through this course. So once you've brought your data in from the different data sources, there is a section of Marketing Cloud, which we're going to talk about, where you can do your segmentation. All right? That's where you divide people into groups. So for non-business folks, for non-marketing folks, just to help clarify this, in marketing terms, segmentation is putting people into categories so that the messages you send to them are relevant. All right? So all of you, whatever part of the world you're in, you use some financial institutions. Each of those institutions, they have some of your information. They reach out to you about some of their products. So before those messages get to you, they already took a look at your profile and said, hey, we know this person has a bank account with us. We know they have a reoccurring deposit going into this bank account. And we see that they don't have XYZ product, maybe a credit card, maybe it's a line of credit, maybe it's a mortgage. Let's put everyone in that category who has a bank account with us but doesn't have a credit card or line of credit. Let's put them into a bucket and send them this message to try and get them to sign up for our credit card. That's what segmentation is. It's just putting people with similar profiles or characteristics into a bucket and sending a message that's going to be relevant to them. That's the purpose of segmentation. So in Marketing Cloud, we can segment people. Once you've got that data, you can segment people using filters, automations, or scripts. And we will go through each of these, time permitting. So let's see if there are any comments. Okay. So let's quickly address some of these questions. Will we be learning Mobile Studio? So Robert, Mobile Studio, I will touch on it briefly, but because the Marketing Cloud account that we have doesn't have Mobile Studio activated, we won't dwell on it. But I'll give you high-level information about Mobile Studio. It's not implemented on this account, so we can't use it, we can't play with it. So that's that. Will we be learning about AmpScript? We will touch on AmpScript. Will we go in depth and cover a lot of things on AmpScript? No, this is not a development course. This is more on the consultant side. But of course, I will share with you details about AmpScript and where you can find more resources on AmpScript. But that will be in the session where we talk about Content Builder. That's the application inside of Marketing Cloud where you build emails and build text messages. That's where we'll talk about AmpScript. All right? So keep the questions coming, folks. Okay, so on the topic of content, so you see that there's a sequence to this. You bring your data in, you bring it in different formats, you segment your audiences into groups, and then you choose what content you want to send to your audiences. So as I mentioned, there is an application called Content Builder where you can build your email templates. You can upload all of your images, videos, and files, and then put all that together to create a message, say an email message, which you want delivered to an audience. And then once you've put together your content, there are different options when it comes to how you deploy that content, how you send your messages. So at the minimum, you can send an email manually. So you can select your email, select your audience, click on send, and off it goes. But even more interesting is when you can automate that deployment process. So you can build an automation to put a group of people together and send them an email on a automated basis. So we'll talk about that. And you can also build journeys. So journeys are a big component inside of Marketing Cloud. We're going to have 3 to 4 sessions on the application inside of Marketing Cloud called Journey Builder. All right? So lots to come on that. And triggers, they're kind of automations that allow you use logic to have messages delivered. So it's kind of like a if, then. If XYZ meets this criteria, then send them this message. If they meet that criteria, send them this other message, that sort of thing. Okay. And so following our sequence, you bring your data in, you segment people into groups, your ABC groups, you send them content via, say, an email message, and these people can choose to update their preferences, so they can choose to sign up for other kind of content that your company or an organization provides, or they can choose to unsubscribe, or they can choose to update their information. So let's say someone's email address changes, they can click on a link in the body of your email message to come and update their profile with you. So that's what the Profile Center allows you to do. All right. Moving on. So that just shows you at a very high level what you're capable of doing with Marketing Cloud. Okay. So let's go in and take a look at the platform itself. As I mentioned, it's not going to be just me droning and showing you slides. I'm sure you're very eager to see the platform. And this is what it looks like. So folks, do you still see my screen, and is the audio still good?
Yes, everything's good.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be checking in once in a while just to make sure. Oh, let's hide some of that. Anyways, I'll come back to that. So this is Marketing Cloud. This is what it looks like once you log in. This is your home page. And just like in the CRM, you've got all of these tabs across left to right. But unlike the CRM, these have different functions and serve different purposes. But I'll give you a quick overview. So starting from the left, you've got Email Studio. That's where your data sits. That's where you can do all of your segmentation. And you can do much more than that. You can also see everyone, so all of your reporting and performance measurement is also done in Email Studio. So we'll go into each of these as time goes on. Mobile Studio, that's where you can configure text messages, or that's where you can deploy text messages, push messages, and such. So as I mentioned, it's not been configured for this account, but you can still go in and take a look. But if you try to send a text message, it's not going to work because it's not been configured. So once you get access to the account, you can go in and take a look, just knock around and see what it looks like. Social Studio. So this is an application inside of Marketing Cloud that allows you to connect or allows an organization to connect their social media accounts. So Twitter, it's called X now. You could connect X and Instagram and Facebook. So if a business has those accounts, they can connect them using Social Studio. They can monitor, they can engage, they can report on all of the interactions that their customers are having with them on those platforms. And they can also communicate, so they can send messages on those platforms via or from inside of Marketing Cloud. But one thing to keep in mind, Social Studio, the application, is being retired. So Salesforce, the company, is retiring this application sometime next year, 2024. So we're not going to cover this in this class. And yeah, it's not configured for this account, so there's no point. But moving on, Advertising Studio. So this is the application inside of Marketing Cloud that allows you to display adverts on some of these social media platforms. An example will be Facebook. So for those of you who still have Facebook, when you log in, sometimes you might get to see some adverts displayed to you. Some of those are done by brands that have Marketing Cloud, and they can display an ad to you. And they can also, if you take an action on that advert, they can capture your info and send you an email and just capture all of that inside of Marketing Cloud. So unfortunately, Advertising Studio is also not configured for this account, so we can't do much there. But I can share with you some of the things that I've seen my clients do with these applications. All right, just some typical use cases. So don't fret. Even though they're not configured for this account, I can still share use cases with you. Web Studio. This application allows you or an organization to build microsites, web pages, landing pages. Think of it like a mini website for whatever initiative a marketing team has going on. So we'll talk about this. I'll demonstrate how this works for you. This is a useful one. Lots of companies use this. Lots of marketing teams use it. Okay. Let's see, questions. Can you connect multiple Facebook accounts? Multiple, probably. Most cases. So, Robert, if you mean multiple and you mean, let's say a company has multiple brands, say like RBC Insurance and then RBC credit cards, they have different Facebook accounts. Can we connect those two Facebook accounts to a Marketing Cloud account? Yes, yes, I'll keep it simple. Yes, we can. All right. But we won't dwell on that, as I mentioned. It's not configured in this account, but it's doable. So moving on. Personalization. This is an application that Salesforce acquired. So originally, this application was called Interaction Studio. That's what the company that built it called it. And then Salesforce acquired it and integrated it into Marketing Cloud. What this application allows you to do is to conduct very deep level of personalization. So think of it this way. Or here's an example. You go to a website. Let's use Apple, for example. You go to the Apple website, you select the iPhone, whichever one's the newest one, the iPhone 14, you put it in a shopping cart, and then you get distracted. You go to some other website. You don't complete that transaction. With this application, an organization like Apple can see that this person got this far, they selected this item, they put it in their shopping cart, but they didn't complete this purchase. They can pull that person's information, send them a reminder email saying, hey, gentleman or lady, we see you were interested in this product and you didn't complete your purchase. You should go back and complete your purchase. Go check out. This is the kind of, so that sort of thing is achievable using Interaction Studio. Aside from that, it also allows you to do things such as a next best offer. So it gets very detailed. It's a very complex application, I must confess. I'm also still learning about it, but for the purposes of this class, we won't be covering it because, as you can see here, we don't even have it in this account. In addition, this is a very expensive application. Lots of the customers that I see that have this application, they are very large enterprises and they have to pay extra to get this application because it's Marketing Cloud in general is a premium product. And then you have personalization, which is an add-on and is very expensive. So this you can read up on, you can find videos about it on YouTube, you can find content about it online, but we won't be talking much about this in this class. But if you guys work at organizations that have personalization, so this application, and they have Marketing Cloud, if I were you, I will be doing my best to learn about it at work and get in touch with people who know or who manage this application within your organization because it's quite significant. Moving on. This is where you can get performance information for all of your communications inside of Marketing Cloud. So not just communications, just performance on anything, on any communication channel. So email, SMS, social, any communication channel that you've used within Marketing Cloud, you can get reporting on it here. I mentioned earlier, you can also get reporting here in Email Studio, but the reporting you get in Email Studio is for email only. All right. So that's a different, you can get reporting for all communication channels here under the Analytics Builder. Okay. Now, Journey Builder. This is the joy and pride of Salesforce, the company, when it comes to this product called Marketing Cloud. This is their biggest selling point compared to other automation platforms, other marketing automation platforms. Journey Builder allows you to build relevant experiences for your audiences. As I mentioned, we're going to have 3 to 4 sessions on Journey Builder. So more to come on that. But inside the Journey Builder tab, you also have Automation Studio, which is an application that allows you to build automations to solve different problems or to power different functions. We're going to have dedicated sessions on that. And then Content Builder, as the name implies, that's where you build your email templates, your SMS, that sort of thing. Audience Builder, this here, and I know the names of these tabs. Some of them are similar, some might be a bit misleading. Audience Builder allows you to go in depth into different things. So it allows you to manage your integrations to other platforms. So your connections between Marketing Cloud and other systems. It allows you to manage your data model inside of Marketing Cloud. So we do that in the application called Contact Builder. Excuse me. But we'll cover this. We have a class on this. This will be in the later stages of the course. Einstein, I imagine you've gone through the CRM courses so far. You know what Einstein is. This here is just Einstein in Marketing Cloud. So machine learning, essentially it's taking past behavior and using it to predict future behavior. That's what you get with Einstein. Okay. And then you've got the App Exchange, which you know what that is. You can get third-party applications downloaded and used inside of Marketing Cloud. All right. So those are the tabs from left to right inside of Marketing Cloud. Any questions on any of these so far before I proceed? So will we be learning how to manage the Sales Cloud connector? Yes. We are going to do the integration between Marketing Cloud, so this Marketing Cloud account, and a Salesforce sandbox. So we're going to have, for that, we're going to have 2 sessions, 2 dedicated classes where we go through the step-by-step process of integrating a Marketing Cloud account with a Salesforce CRM. It's the same process whether you're integrating with a production account or a sandbox account. So, but we'll go through that process. And just in case I didn't mention this in the beginning, Marketing Cloud does not come with sandboxes, okay? Marketing Cloud does not have sandboxes. But to solve that problem, there's the concept of business units, which we'll cover in our slides. So moving on, I just showed you what Marketing Cloud looks like. If you're going to log in, that's the URL. You guys will get access to Marketing Cloud. That will be done by the good folks at Blackforce. They'll get your information and set you up with user profiles inside of this account. So this just shows you the different ways you can log into the Marketing Cloud, similar to the CRM. And this gives you an overview of what we just covered right now. So let's go show you some other things. So here at the top, you've got this button here called the calendar. So when we click on it, it shows us, let's get rid of that. Now in an account that's being actively used and it's busy, it'll show you activities that have occurred in the past or that are scheduled for the future. So just like your work calendar shows you meetings and stuff you have coming up or stuff you've attended in the past, same thing here. It shows you campaigns and emails or automations that are scheduled or that are running on a specific date. That's what this allows you to do. And it also allows you can move between dates. And you can also filter here on the left to see specific things. So you can say, I want to see all emails for the last month. And if there were any emails in that month, they will show up on the calendar and you can get more info about them. And you can also select what you want to see by business unit. Okay, I know I've mentioned this term twice, business units. I have a slide on it that will explain the concept of business units. So this here just tells you more about what you can see with the calendar feature. So you can get insights into what's coming up in the future. You can see what's been done in the past. You can get access to performance data just by clicking on the calendar. So let's see, do we have anything coming up? So for example, if you see here, this is for August of this year. As you can see, an email was sent on August the 29th, and we can get a snapshot of how that email performed. So there's an automation that refreshed the group of people the email was sent to. We can see how many people the email was sent to. Here it says 0. We can see that the email was successfully sent. And of course, since it was sent to 0 people, there are 0 opens, clicks, bounces, unsubscribes. But that just shows you what you can get with the calendar. And then the next tab right beside the calendar tab is the campaigns tab. So let's go take a look. So right here, campaigns. So given that you've just completed your CRM course, let's make this clear. The campaigns tab or the campaigns object in the CRM is not the same as the campaigns tab in Marketing Cloud. In the CRM, it's a more robust entity. It allows you to do, among other things, add people to a campaign, set a budget for a campaign, set a start date, an end date, measure the performance, report on it. You could do a lot of things with campaigns, with the campaigns object in the CRM. In Marketing Cloud, the campaigns tab or object simply lets you group together multiple elements. So specifically, let's go back. Let's create a new campaign just so you see how it works. So you could create a campaign and you could select the owner, you could give it a date, you could put tags, but you can't put a budget, you can't import people into the campaign. You can associate the campaign with a list of people, but the kinds of things you could do with the campaign object in the CRM, you can't do as much here. So what do companies or what do clients use the campaign tab in Marketing Cloud for. They use it to group elements together. So elements could be your email messages, your data extension, which could be the list that holds your audiences. They use it to just tie things together, and that's about it. So in simple terms, the campaigns tab in Marketing Cloud, it's not so useful. It's with the clients I work with, they hardly use it, but just so you know how it works and what it could be used for, that's why I'm covering it. All right. So it's not something for you to dwell on. It's not something to spend much time on, but once you do get access to Marketing Cloud, you could go in and take a look and knock around, create a campaign and associate it with some of the other elements you will end up creating. All right, and here is, this just gives you a snapshot of different campaigns. So when I say it allows you to tie different elements together, so you could bring together email messages, mobile messages, social audiences. You can put them all together so you can associate them with one campaign. It just makes things more organized. That's what it lets you do. Organize things. That's about it. And then within campaigns, you could create tags. All right, so just to be more organized. Think of it like, I'll keep it simple. Just being organized, that's what it lets you do. And this just shows you more about the Salesforce Marketing Cloud dashboard. So to get to the homepage in Marketing Cloud, you simply click in the top left corner on the logo that says Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So when you do that, it brings you to the homepage, and then it shows you these journey templates. And if you scroll further down, you can see your calendar. If you have anything coming up in the next few days, you could see it here. So if you had emails or automations or anything scheduled for this week, we could get a snapshot of it from this view. And then at the bottom, you've got this summaries and URLs to things that Salesforce, the company, refreshes over time that they believe you will find useful. So you get links to articles and such. And then at the bottom of that page, you also get a quick summary of recently sent emails. That's what you see here on the left. And recently edited content. So it could be emails or text messages. That's what you see on the right. Also, you get a snapshot of recently completed automations, recently edited journeys on the right. So that's what you get on the home page. Okay. Let's see, questions. So by emails, do you mean emails sent to the client or emails received? Yeah, so when I say emails, I'm referring to emails sent out of Marketing Cloud. So Marketing Cloud is for mass email deployment. In terms of receiving emails, we will talk about a feature in Marketing Cloud that allows you to receive emails. But to answer your question, whenever I say emails, I'm talking about either emails that are being created or emails that have been sent out of Marketing Cloud. All right. Moving on. Okay, so now we're going to go into each of the applications one by one, starting with Email Studio. Okay, so let's go back to Email Studio. So just before I double click on Email Studio, any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on anything you've heard so far? If I start. And folks, I'm not sure if you have the ability to unmute yourself, but if you do and you have a question, please come off mute and ask it. If you don't want to speak up, you could put it in the chat. All right? Okay, I'll take silence as consent. So let's talk about Email Studio. So this slide just gives you an overview of Email Studio. When you click into Email Studio, it's like you're going into a new application, and then that application has its own tabs. That's what you see here at the top. So let me demonstrate that to you. See how right now we're on the home page. Yes? We go into Email Studio, the tabs are going to change. We're going to see the tabs for Email Studio. So it's just like in the CRM. You've got those 9 dots in the top left corner. When you click on it, you can select an app. And then when you go into the app, you get different tabs at the top. So same thing here. So we go into Email Studio, and hopefully it hasn't logged me out. So sometimes Marketing Cloud can kick you out. Okay, so it hasn't kicked me out yet. So this is what I was talking about. See, we came into Email Studio, and now there's a different set of tabs across at the top. So, but if I hover here in the top left corner, it shows me the home page with all the original tabs. Once I move my mouse, it shows me all of the tabs inside of Email Studio. That's what I'm referring to here. So once you come into Email Studio, you've also got sort of a home page in Email Studio, and you get a summary of recently modified email messages. That's what you see here. So this message was modified in March. It's associated with this campaign. That's what you see here on the left. And then on the right-hand side, it shows you a summary of email messages that have been sent out of Marketing Cloud and the date. And if you click on the pending section, it will show you emails that are yet to be sent. So emails that have been scheduled, but they're yet to go out. So as of now, there's nothing scheduled. So there's nothing to see. Okay. And here you can also select to see content by, I think you can select it by specific user. So you see there are a handful of users. So by default, it shows you it selects your own user. So I'm logged in as myself, the instructor, and that's what it shows me. But if I wanted to see someone else's recently modified or created emails, I'll just select their name and it displays that to me. Okay. So I mentioned earlier, Email Studio is where a lot of the action happens. This is where the data gets manipulated, where it can get created, where the segmentation can happen. This is where you get a lot of your reporting information for email messages. And this is also where you can create emails and send emails. Okay, but let's make sure we're covering all our bases by following the slides. So I've talked about that, and that. Just want to make sure you guys get all the foundational knowledge and you get it right. So let's talk about these tabs inside of Email Studio. The Overview tab, that's what you arrive on by default when you come into Email Studio. The Content tab, that's where when you click on it, it takes you to where email messages can be built. So So we clicked on the content tab and it brings us into this application called Content Builder. So this is where we can create email messages, templates. We can upload content, so images, videos, files. This is where you do all of that. So when I say this is where a lot of the action happens, that's what I mean. So you can create your emails, you create your templates, you could do a lot of content creation in here. You can also create your text messages inside of Content Builder. So on the left-hand side, these are folders, and these are folders for students from the previous cohort. So we encourage, just to make sure we stay organized, we encourage that people use a certain naming convention, and I encourage you also do the same when you get access to the account. So, but if you were thinking of what it would look like in a company, this is similar to what you see in an enterprise account. You'll have different folders with different naming structures, and you can go into each folder to find specific content, and you can move things around as needed. You can import things into folders. You could create new folders. So if we're going to create a new folder, that's how we'll do it. You just right click on the root folder, and that is how you do it. So by default, once you come into the content tab, it selects the local section. All right, that just shows you all of the content that's been created inside of this business unit. So right now we are inside of this business unit. You know what? I'm going to talk about business units now. I know it's further down in my slide, but it'll make sense to you now. So if we go back to the RBC example, RBC has different business groups or departments or organizations or lines of businesses. Each of them, they have their marketing teams, and they have the customers for each of these organizations. The RBC Insurance has RBC Insurance customers. The RBC Capital Markets has their customers. So those the credit cards and real estate group. RBC in their marketing cloud account will have several business units. Each business unit will be for each of their lines of businesses. And the reason they will have separate business units is so that each line of business can have their own dedicated section inside of Marketing Cloud where they can create their content, manage their own customer information, manage their own performance reporting and all of that without stepping on the toes of other people in other lines of businesses. So there's the benefit of being organized, having everything in their own sections, and there's also the regulatory requirement that they have to meet because they cannot just commingle all customer data all together. So that's why business units exist. So I mentioned earlier, Marketing Cloud doesn't have sandboxes. So to overcome that challenge, what we encourage customers to do when they purchase Marketing Cloud is, at the minimum, they should purchase 2 business units. One business unit can serve as their production environment, while a second business unit can serve as their development environment, their testing environment. All right. So they can do all of their, so in this example, let's say Manifest was a large enterprise. Right now we're in the Manifest business unit. This is where all of our production data sits. We can do all of our deployment, all of our segmentation in this business unit. But if we wanted to do some development work, we wanted to test some things, we can do it in the Black Force business unit. This will be, let's call it our sandbox. So this will be our testing area where we could build and break and try different things without having to worry about breaking stuff and that affecting our production environment. Okay, so just to emphasize, Marketing Cloud does not have sandboxes. So the workaround for that, or the provision that Salesforce has made, is to allow you to have business units. But of course, as you can imagine, Marketing Cloud is a premium product. And if you're going to purchase additional business units, you're going to have to pay for it. So it comes at a cost. All right, so let's go back to our original business unit. So I bring this up because we were talking about the content builder tab inside of Email Studio. By default, once you're here, it shows you the local section. That's all of the content that's been created in the Manifest and Company business unit. But if we click on the shared section, this will show you content that's been shared with other business units or shared by other business units to the main one. All right. So just to put this in a different context, think of a Marketing Cloud account like one of those high-rise buildings downtown in the city you live, say downtown Calgary, downtown Vancouver, downtown Toronto. Think of it like the RBC Tower or the Scotiabank Tower. At the ground floor, you've got your reception. Everybody can come in at the ground floor. That's the shared area. That's the common area. But as you go up each of those floors, there's a floor for each business unit, or there are several floors that are open to employees of a specific department. That's the same idea here with business units and the local versus shared sections. So anything that's shared is accessible by everyone in other business units, but anything that's local is accessible by people who have access to a specific business unit. So hopefully that's clear. If it's not, don't worry, it'll make sense with time. Okay, questions have started coming up. Do you pay extra to have a second business unit? Yes, you do. Is the testing business unit also connected to the prod CRM? So this question it's a bit early, but I'll address it. The testing business unit, we'll address it fully when we get to the class on integrating Marketing Cloud with the CRM. But is the testing business unit connected to the prod CRM? It could be. I'll leave it at that for now. But we'll get into details when we get to that class. So how do you now transfer to the original business unit? Okay. So let's quickly demonstrate that. So folks, this is the shared section, right? This is like our reception area. This is where shared stuff is, and this is our local section. So if I wanted to share, say, an email template with the Black Force business unit, let's go find an email. So let's say this email message, welcome to Nike, email number 3. I wanted to share it with the Black Force business unit. Right now, it's only sitting in the local, yes? I'll select the drop down by this email and I'll say share. And now, if I had a dozen business units that I wanted to share them with, I'll just check off the box and say share and go next. And Now I'm sharing that email. So if we go to the shared section, see, I made this available. I made it visible in the shared section. So people in other business units can now use this email. So an example of where such things will happen will be, so if we stick with the RBC example, let's say RBC Insurance, the marketing team at RBC Insurance created an email message. They sent that email out and they got lots of responses. It was a very effective email. It led to a lot of sales. And then the folks at RBC Commercial Banking, the marketing folks at RBC Commercial Banking reached out to the folks at RBC Insurance and said, hey, we heard about this email that you sent that got lots of responses. Are you okay sharing it with us so we can copy some of the best practices that you guys use, so we can also use a similar template to reach out to our own customers? The guys at insurance will say, sure, we could definitely do that. And this is how they'll do it. They'll just go into their local section, select the email, and make it available to their colleagues by sharing it. So that's the idea here. All right. So I spent some time on this section, but for good reason. Moving on, the subscribers tab has a lot of things that can be done here. But all these things are data related. Okay? Excuse me. So we'll go through each one quickly, one by one. On the subscribers tab, this is where you see information about the people you've either sent emails to in the past or your existing data that you've brought into Marketing Cloud. So let's start with the all subscribers. So folks, the all subscribers list, we're going to talk about this one multiple times over the course of the next few weeks because of its importance inside of Marketing Cloud. The all subscribers list is think of it as a master list that captures everybody you've sent an email to inside of your Marketing Cloud account. All right, so this is where the information sits, and it also captures their status. So when they were created inside your Marketing Cloud account, who they were created by, their status, how they were added, the last time they were modified, all of that. If they unsubscribed, why they unsubscribed. So think of it as your record book, all right? And another function that it serves, aside from just being a record book or a place of reference, is each time an email message, any email message is getting sent out of Marketing Cloud, the system checks against the all subscribers list. So let's say I wanted to send an email to 10 people today. I create my email message, I click on send. Before that email goes out, behind the scenes, this is what the system does behind the scenes. Before that email that I'm about to send to 10 people goes out, the system will check against this all subscribers list to see, of these 10 people, do they already exist on this list? If they do, fine, no problem. If they don't, it'll create them and add them to this list. That's the first thing it'll do. This next thing it'll do is, for those that exist on the list, it'll check to see what is their status. Are they active? Are they bounced? Are they held? And these statuses indicate the health of an email address or the status of an email subscriber. Active means the email is valid and open to receiving email messages. Whereas bounced means the email is invalid or the email recipient's inbox is full and no longer accepting messages. Held is similar to being bounced. It's just probably not bounced multiple times yet. But what the system is doing is checking to make sure everybody on that list of 10 people that I just sent a message to is active. If their status is not active, the system is going to exclude them from receiving the message that I sent. All right. So if a recipient's email status is anything but active, so if it's held, bounced, unsubscribed, that message that I sent will not get deployed to that person. So for example, this person, if I send a message to them, the system will not deliver the message to this person because their status is unsubscribed. Unsubscribed means the person does not want to receive messages from this account. All right. So they've made that decision to unsubscribe from your messages. So this all subscribers list, just to summarize, serves as a record book and also serves as a checklist for the system to make sure it's only sending messages to people whose email addresses can receive messages, or people who have opted to receive messages from you. All right. That's a key purpose, a key function that the all subscribers list serves. Okay. Let's see. No questions. Good. So that's one component of this whole list of things you can see under the all subscribers, the subscribers tab. So moving on, list. I won't dwell on this, but we're going to have a class where we talk about data and the receptacles of data inside of Marketing Cloud. In that class, I will differentiate between lists and data extensions and which ones you should be using. In simple terms, lists, don't bother with them, all right? What you should be using are data extensions. Okay, data extensions, they're more flexible, they're more easier to use, they're more reliable, all right? List, not as much. There are some purposes that list can serve, but 90-something% of your time will be spent in data extensions. So we won't dwell on lists today. We'll cover it in the class on data. So I'm going to skip groups. That's more for segmentation. Profile management. This allows you to essentially manage your subscription center. So if you see here, I mentioned earlier, when you send an email message to anyone out of Marketing Cloud or using any email deployment platform, by regulatory requirements, you're required to give people the ability to opt out of your email messages. So that feature that allows you opt out is this thing called your profile center or your preference center inside of Marketing Cloud. So this is where you can configure your out-of-the-box preference center in Marketing Cloud. So this is where you can give people options of newsletters or content you want them to receive from you, or you want them to be able to opt out of. And this tab, the profile center, is where you can specify what fields you want people to provide information about themselves to you. Okay. It's a very 1980s looking page, but that's what comes out of the box with Marketing Cloud. All right. So profile management, preference management, they lead to the same place, just allows you to manage the information about your audiences or the information you collect about your audiences. So next is data extensions. In simple terms, these are tables. So you've probably covered relational databases or databases at some point during your CRM course. These work essentially the same way. These are databases that you can pull data into, pull data out of, that you can create or delete. This is where data sits inside of Marketing Cloud, all right? And you see all these subfolders. These are folders created by past students that contain data extensions that they created. So let's find someone who created one. Let's see, this person, for example. So when we click into this person's folder, you can see they've created several data extensions. They've manipulated some of the data inside those data extensions. Let's go take a look. So here's a data extension. It's a table that contains several fields for data that this person wanted to collect. You can see how many records are in there. And then if you click on the records tab, you can see the information for each of those records. So these are the fields this person wanted to collect, and that's the data for each of these records, right? So that's what a data extension is. Think of it like an Excel spreadsheet. You've got rows and columns, and you can specify what kind of data you want in each of those rows or columns. That's what it is. But in the class on data, we'll go into details on data extensions and data in general when it comes to Marketing Cloud. So synchronized data extensions, these are, now this is a bit advanced, but we'll talk about it nevertheless. Synchronized data extensions are tables containing data from your CRM, all right? These are tables containing object records or object data from your CRM. So this Marketing Cloud account at the moment is integrated with a Salesforce CRM. And that's why we're able to see these objects. So we can see the account, the contact, the lead, the opportunity. These objects, we have data from these objects flowing into this Marketing Cloud account. And you can see the information about these objects in here in this synchronized data extension. When we get to the class where we talk about and where we go through the process of connecting a Marketing Cloud account with a Salesforce CRM, we'll talk more about synchronized data extensions. Okay. But this is what it looks like once you've connected it. You're able to bring in any object, either standard or custom. You're able to bring it in and use it towards creating segments and communicating with your audiences. All right, so that's what that lets you do. Salesforce data extensions. We will not dwell on this for now. It'll just lead us astray. So let's make sure we have not veered too far from what we're supposed to cover today. So this is all navigation related stuff. Okay, so we're still on subscribers, so we're still doing good. So moving on, if you recall in the content section, we had the local and we had the shared section. So this was for email content, text messages, files, emails, whatever it is. The local is what's on a specific business unit. The shared is what's been made available to other business units. Same concept applies in your shared data extensions folder. All right. So in your business unit, whichever business unit you're logged into, you have your data extensions, which are your tables. But you also have your shared items, which are your shared data extensions. So those are folders that contain data extensions or tables that you've made available to other business units. So if you recall, the way we made an email message available from one business unit to another, we're also able to do the same thing with with data extensions. So that's what this allows you to. We'll go into details over time on this, but it just tells you that data can be shared from one business unit to the other, all right? You don't need to manually download and upload stuff from one business unit to the other. That's the gist of it. Let's see. Is there any other thing? Some of these other things we'll cover when we get to the data class, because it's going to be an in-depth class. Today's more of just high-level overview on the different tabs. So let's go to interactions. So folks, you notice we're still inside of Email Studio. We're still inside of one app across the spectrum. And that one app has all these different functionalities. So that just goes to show you how deep and broad Marketing Cloud can get. It goes beyond just sending emails. There are a handful of things you can do inside of Marketing Cloud. And speaking of sending emails, this interactions tab is where you can send an email. So if you build an email, you have your list of audiences you want to send it to, and you're ready to send your email, this is where you go. So you go to interactions and then you go to user-initiated emails. So this phrase I'm going to use now, you will hear it over and over again. In Marketing Cloud, there's usually more than one way to do some things, okay? To send emails, there's more than one way to send emails inside of Marketing Cloud. You could come here, go to interactions, go to user-initiated emails. That's one way to send emails. I will show you other ways to send emails as we go through the course. But for today's sake, if you're going to send an email, you go to interactions, you go to user initiated, and then you either create a folder so you can group all your emails, or you don't. But to be organized, I suggest you create folders so that you can put all your stuff in one place. And then if you're going to send an email, you create, you select, what's this doing? So just to crystallize this for you, let's quickly do this. So I'm going to duplicate this tab and refresh. So let's say, now this is me bringing the different applications together so that you guys start to understand. So this email message, you remember this email message? Let's say we created this email message today and we wanted to send this email message to somebody. We go to interactions, user initiated, and we'll say create. Yes? And then we'll say, we'll give our message a name. Let's call it, what's today? September 18th. September 18th. Okay. Now, what we're doing is essentially creating an envelope to place our email content into. All right. So, oh, I think I'm on the wrong tab. This says reports. Folks, that's the wrong tab. I should be here, not reports. Yeah, this is where I want to be. So this is our envelope. We're going to call it the September 18th email message. And then we'll come here to find our actual message. And the message is this one. Yeah, this is the email message we want to send. We'll come here. We need to know what folder our message sits in. So let's see, what folder is this in? It's in the, this might take a few minutes. What folder is this in? Location, Nike. Okay, it's in the Nike folder. So you have to find, anyways, the point I'm making is, there it is. That's the Nike folder. You find your message. So that's our message. We select our message. So that's the one. That's it here. You select your message, and then it displays whatever subject line you created. And then you select who you want the email sent on behalf of, all of that jazz, who you want it sent to. This is where you select that. Once you're happy with it, you save, and then you click on send. All right. It's a more involved process, but just wanted to show you quickly how you can send an email message inside of Marketing Cloud. That's one way. There's more than one way to send email messages inside of Marketing Cloud, but that's one quick and manual way to send an email message. And folks, if it's looking like a lot of information, well, yes, it is. It is a lot of information. Marketing Cloud is broad. So, but on the bright side, it'll make sense to you. You're going to look back in a few days or weeks, and you're just going to say, this thing that seems so complicated. It's not that hard. So don't get scared. I know it's a lot of info, a lot of places to go to, but it'll stick with time. So moving on to the next tab, we've got the A/B testing tab. So if you come back here, still inside of Email Studio, you've got this tab called the A/B testing tab. This allows you to, as the name implies, run tests on different components of your email message. So an A/B test is an experiment where you're trying to determine what feature works better than the other. So an example of a test or an experiment you could run is the time. What is the best time to send an email message to a group of people? Should you send it at 10 a.m. or should you send it at 12 noon? Another example of a test you can run, an A/B test, could be subject lines. Should I use a short subject line or should I use a long one? Should I use numbers in my subject line or should I use no numbers? Should I use text? You can also do an A/B test on the sender name. So should I use Manifest and Company Inc. or should I use blackforce.ca as the sender name for my email message? So you can run all sorts of tests using this tab, all right? So you determine what you want to test, you determine your success criteria, and then the system will do the rest for you. But this just shows you an example of a test that was done sometime last few months. So moving on to the next tab, let's just see if there are questions before I move on. Is there a way to manage available publications to disable old ones or delete en masse? Yes. So Publications, you can manage. You can add new ones, you can delete. Yes, you can. So there is a way to manage that. So moving on to the next tab, the tracking tab. So as the name implies, this is where you get performance information for email messages that have been sent out of your account or out of a specific business unit. So if we go to the tracking sends section, there are folders on the left, and this is where you see, so in the middle, this is where you see the performance of your email messages that have been sent or email messages that have been scheduled to be sent. All right, but most of what you'll see is stuff that's already gone out. So for example, this email here was sent on the 23rd of April. It went to this many people. It got delivered to this many. This is how many people opened, clicked. This just gives you performance information, all right? All the stats that someone might be interested in knowing about the message, this is where you'd find it. And further down on the left, you can get a variety of reports on your email messages or your email performance. All right, there are some prepackaged reports that you can run, and there are some that you can create as needed. So that's what this section allows you to do. Okay. Moving to admin. Let's see, do we still see the admin tab? Oh, there it is, it was hidden. So if we go to the admin tab, so just for historical context, as I mentioned earlier, Salesforce, the company, acquired a product that used to be called ExactTarget. All right. So, folks, some of you might have already noticed in the URL for Marketing Cloud, it still says ExactTarget. That's the legacy name. So, Salesforce acquired ExactTarget. They renamed it Marketing Cloud, but some of the old features of ExactTarget still remain, and some of the new features that Salesforce, the company, has introduced are also present. In the past, the administration or the setup section of Marketing Cloud used to be here in the admin tab inside of Email Studio. That's where you can manage a bunch of account settings, manage your users, all of the stuff you see here. You can manage it, just like your setup section in the CRM. That's how it used to be managed in the past. But Salesforce they've introduced some new features and made it much more user-friendly. So all of the admin and administrative management of Marketing Cloud doesn't need to be done here anymore. It can be done from here in the setup. All right. So back in the day when Salesforce, or prior to Salesforce acquiring ExactTarget, email was the only communication channel. So all of the setup you needed to do, you could do here under Email Studio. But since they've acquired it and they've innovated since then, they've added other communication channels. So you've now got mobile, you've got social. That's why this admin section doesn't make any provision for the management of other communication channels. So if you're doing anything here, it's only restricted to just the email channel. But if you want to manage all of the settings of a Marketing Cloud account, you have to do it here in the setup section. All right. So this is where all of your account setup can be done. Okay, so you see the user interface here is more modern, more user-friendly compared to what we were seeing a few seconds ago under the admin section in Email Studio. All right, so that's what that covers. Moving on. So, all right, since we're now in the setup section, let's talk about some of these things you can make changes to. So let's go back to admin. And if any of you is already slipping off, do not blame you. Some of this content is not the most engaging, but it'll make sense with time. So let's go back to admin. So let's hit modes. What was I looking for? Just looking for brand builder. So yeah, some of the stuff is no longer available here. But I'll quickly show you some things you can see here. So under the admin section, you can see when an account subscription is going to expire. Based on this, our account is going to expire on the 22nd. I doubt it, but this is a partner demo account, so you don't have to worry about that date. You can see some of the security settings, information. You can edit it. So you can see the users in an account. You can create new users. You can make changes to existing users. You can see a lot of things in here. So all of this setting here, at least everything under send management, only applies to email. None of this applies to mobile or social. So I think we can move on from that. We're going to our next class. We're going to spend some time in the setup section of Marketing Cloud. So here in this section, this will be important to know because one of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud certifications you might be interested in taking is the Marketing Cloud Administrator certification. I believe up to 50% of the questions in that exam come from things inside the setup section. So our next class will cover that. And then Brand Builder, this is just a component in setup that allows you to customize, just do some minimal customization for a Marketing Cloud account. So it allows you to display brand colors and a brand logo. So for example, if this was the Marketing Cloud account for RBC, using this feature called Brand Builder, we'll be able to customize the homepage to display the RBC logo and to also display the RBC brand colors. So blue and I think it's yellow. We'll be able to customize this to display that. That's what that feature lets you do. And I'll show that to you in a bit. I'll probably show that to you tomorrow. So the navigation, I've been showing that to you all evening. And yeah, you can skip that. We've talked about folders. That was all in Email Studio on the left here. Let's just make sure I've not missed anything. Okay, so in tomorrow's section or session, we're going to dive deep into the setup, and we'll go into each of these tabs on the left and some of the things you can do, some of the things you should know or you need to know in order to pass the Marketing Cloud Administrator exam. All right. But for now, let's see, is there any final thing I want to cover on Email Studio today before we go to questions? I think we've covered it. Let's see. So folks, any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on Email Studio, on anything that you've seen today? All right, Robert, please go ahead.
Hi, yes. When I was referring to the center, when you were showing the subscriptions, the subscription center, the profile center, where you have all the list of all the profile, what do you call them? Available publication. Yeah, those things. So all those things that are showing up there, when they get old, is there a way to mass delete them, or they will be there forever?
Yeah, you can add or remove them as needed.
So you can remove them. Okay. All right. And when they're not checked, that means they can't be visible, or will they check they're visible?
So this view here, this is what the end customer will see. So let's say RBC sent an email to you. At the bottom of that email, you click on, I want to update my preferences. When you click on that link, this is the page it brings you to. And then you, Robert, can say, you know what? I want to receive RBC's newsletters, just these 3, but I'm not interested in all these other ones. So I'm going to click on update, and your information will get updated in RBC's Marketing Cloud, indicating that you only want to receive these 3 publications. You're not interested in all these ones that are unchecked.
And how do you delete them so they don't see old ones? That's what I thought. So.
Okay. So where is it? It's here. It's on the subscribers. So we can delete them from, sounds like I need a coffee or something. Okay, publication list. This is where we can add new ones, and then we can get rid of old ones. Like, we'll just have to go into each of these folders to find some of the ones that were displayed. I'm not sure why I don't see them now. But
yeah, because you're only showing 2 there, and you had a whole bunch. Yeah. That's why I thought, oh, okay, you can delete them from there. But yeah, I don't see all the ones you had listed.
Yeah, I'm wondering why I don't see them either. I need to dig into that a bit. Not sure why I don't see the rest of them, but they're all supposed to be here under the publication list.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, folks? Are there any questions that crossed your mind? And okay, yes, Funke, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out if we want to, when we were doing the CRM, we have Playground that we could actually work on. And you were talking about having 2 business units. So do we get that do we have to subscribe for something, or we get that being a part of this class?
So you will be given access to this account, all right? And you can create content, you can do your testing inside of this account. But unlike the CRM where you could create your own sandbox, in Marketing Cloud, there are no sandboxes. So any learning, any testing you want to do will be happening inside of this account. Okay? You're not going to have a Marketing Cloud account for yourself. There's no way to create one. everyone in this class, including myself, will have access to this Black Force or Manifesting Company Marketing Cloud account. You're all going to have user profiles, just like right now. I've got mine. It's called the SFMC Instructor. You're going to have yours. We're going to create one for you, and you'll be able to log in, create folders, create emails, send emails, do all of that good stuff, just like all these past students were able to log in. All right? Make sense?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. This is not for you guys. They want me to log in 3 minutes early as the link is needed immediately. It's 8 p.m. I'm not sure what that means. Nika, please come off mute and explain.
Yeah, we need the link for data analysis class, and we have to. I said the class was supposed to end by 7:45.
What link?
The Zoom link. This Zoom link is needed for another class. So this class is supposed to end by 7:45.
Is it? Okay, I see.
Sorry about it.
Okay. All right. Well, just before we go, any final questions? Okay. Well, if you do have a question and you're not ready, you could bring it tomorrow. The tradition is I try to address questions at the beginning of each class before we go into the content for that day's class. So, folks, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Thank you.